Well, you know, in the HBO show, they showed that Jack Warner was not that crazy about Marilyn Monroe either.
Oh, that's true. I did read that. I don't really know because I didn't know her.
Yeah, and they said, yeah, well, she's just walked into this movie, The Asphalt Jungle, into a living room with all of these stars, and she's just gotten 300 fan letters, and they've gotten none, so there must be something.
That's funny.
Pastor, who was it who said that? Skouras?
Skouras. Oh, Mr. Skouras. I didn't know him either, but they were powerful here, were they not? I mean, with MGM and whatnot.
Theater owners in those days.
I think so, yeah.
They distributed, you know, they had a lot.
That's right. They had all the theaters before they had to be divested.
Right.
I think of the theaters.
Brian McDowell said, he said, everybody talks about Louis B. Mayer, but he was a hired hand for the Lowe family.
Really? I knew very little about MGM. You know, my acquaintance with the industry was primarily Paramount, and then I was loaned out. I was loaned out to RKO. I was loaned out to United Artists, and I was loaned out to Columbia, and therefore, you know, those were the only I was never loaned out to MGM.
How did you happen to get the role with Barbara Stanwyck and Kirk Douglas and Van Heflin?
Well, I had made a film. That was my second film, The Strange Love of Martha Ivers. My first film was a film that I simply adore, and it was called You Came Along. And my co-star was Robert Cummings. And I love that film. And that's how I got the next film. Maybe stop for a minute because something is bothering me. And I don't know what it is.
All right, I can't see it in the monitor.
Well, that's good. But you know, it's like catching my
No, I know. I was sitting there doing to him.
Yeah, it's catching my tooth. And
You're never going to see
it's the no, it's the lipstick. It's the
it.
lipstick.
In a million years.
Okay.
you'll never
That
see
it's
should be
smaller
fine.
Than a little, it's smaller than a pixel
Okay.
of television. So.
yeah, but it's interfering with my speech.
Absolutely.
You see, and I don't want that.
Anytime you want to stop, please.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Do you want a glass?
No, it's not water. It's
the gloss.
it's the gloss sticking to my lip because I don't usually wear gloss and I don't know how to manage it.
Oh, sure.
I will the next time.
Anytime you feel like stopping, just say
Okay,
stop.
fine. I thought I had to because it was really
And
beginning to interfere.
One of the things that, and you know, forgive me for being presumptuous, but I always loved the way they would write these scripts for your part, because it seemed as though you were always the girl in trouble, and as soon, like in the Van Heflin movie, as soon as you got out of jail, for some reason that evening you would be in a bar. The one place where you were sure to get more trouble.
Well, I can promise you one thing, it wasn't written for me, number one. And that was the period when they were doing a lot of film noir. And film noir was always, the very tender girl who went bad. Or it was the poor little waif who gets involved with, the wrong element, etc. That was part of film noir. So it was not written for me. That's number one. And number two, it was a great pleasure to do it because my first film was An American Girl. It was really a lovely film. You ought to see it if you have not seen it. And it was quite different from Strange Love of Martha Ivers or Desert Fury, which followed that. That was my third film.
And was that the one with John Hodiak?
That was the one with John Hodiak. I loved making film. There was something so exciting about it because I fell in love with the lens, and the lens fell in love with me. And it was just, I don't know how it happened. A lot of Broadway actors would say, I never want to work in Hollywood. I just, I can't cope with it. But there was something about that lens that I adored, and it adored me back. So we were a great combination.
Also your voice, because you could be soft in movies. You didn't have to project,
That's true. But coming from the stage, everything was so big when you performed on stage. I mean, when I did Skid of Our Teeth in New York City and Boston, I mean, it was quite another technique. But this was a technique that seemed to be mine from the very beginning. It was really very strange. Serendipity, I think.
Well, you know, because you see people like Geraldine Page, people who were great stage actresses, most of them did not come off well at all in films.
That's true, but some of them did, and most of them did not, which is very strange. I mean, I don't understand
they
it.
weren't all that glamorous. You know.
Well, that might have had something to do with it.
I think you needed to be glamorous. I also think that as this old woman that we interviewed the other day, Lillian Burns Sidney, she said, that truth machine has to love you. It decides.
Yes, that's very good. I like that.
And she said that, and she also talked about the fact that the actors that you love, they could be playing characters, but they come through the lens. Like Gable always came through the lens, no matter what he was playing.
That's true.
And that's why I think people were such individuals. You know, I mean, no one looked like anyone else.
That's true. Are you casting aspersions on today?
Well, Jane Wyman said that when she was doing Falcon Crest, she'd look to the left, she'd look to the right, and the girls were so beautiful, but they looked exactly alike, and she got mixed up as to who they were.
I'm sure that's the cry of many.
But so tell me what the most unusual thing was in using, say, those first three films. Was there anything that happened, like with Van Heflin, that was just a very unusual or funny thing on the set?
Well, I don't remember anything funny. Everybody was so serious on that film. And you know, Barbara Stanwyck was in that film too. And we only had one scene together. And you know, we just said hello. And that was it. She never talked to me again. I never talked to her again. We had that one scene together. It was all very strange. Many years later, I was at Chastened. She was sitting in another booth. I walked in and sat in a booth next to her. She jumped out of her booth, grabbed me, put her arms around me and said, "Oh, Liz, it's so good to see you." After all those years, I was slightly taken aback because, you know, I didn't have the opportunity on that film to know her or get to know her.
Well, we've been talking to and interviewing a lot of people.
Raise the fire a little bit. Flying out.
We've been talking to a lot
little
of people
juice.
about the way the actresses changed, you know, and of course we've gotten all the stories, very surprising stories of, you know, Crawford. Everyone likes to talk about Crawford and how competitive she
Oh,
was.
I liked her. I mean, after Strangelove, Martha Ivers, she sent me a telegram saying, "I think you were absolutely wonderful in the film. I look forward to meeting you, and what a future you have." And I thought that was extraordinary for Joan Crawford to send a neophyte, you know, Lizabeth Scott, who only starred in 3 films, a telegram saying she loved her work.
Because she had a reputation of not liking other actresses.
Well, I was amazed because I felt that most actresses did not, well, I still think most actresses are not crazy about other actresses. I don't know why I feel that way, but I do.
Well, there's a great line about Crawford. I think Anita Page, the old silent star, who was with her in Our Dancing Daughters in '29.
Oh, yes.
She said that when she performed in The Women with Norma Shearer, Crawford was heard to say, "How am I going to steal this picture when she's sleeping with the boss?"
I guess there was a lot of that going on. Oh, that's funny. That's really funny. But I remember when I was going to drama school in New York City, I went to the Alvienne School of the Theater, and, you know, we did a play a week. And, you know, you had diction teachers and all that sort of thing, which I adored. I mean, my enthusiasm for what I had chosen to be was tremendous. And I think enthusiasm is one of the most important qualities that anybody can have for any endeavor that they desire to pursue.